G'day everyone, Duckville here, bringing you a game from the Korean ladder. This is going to be a high Grand Masters game, of course. You will be pretty well affiliated with both of these players, I would hope, especially if you're an Australian player. You'll know this particular blue Zerg down the bottom left-hand side of Daybreak. It is our very own TtPiG. Pig, of course, one of the players who will be representing Australia at the IESF, which is coming up at the start of October, if I'm not mistaken. Also did very well in securing a spot at the WCS, which he took against the Moonglade at the WCS Nationals for Australia, which was just a few weeks ago. Was a lot of fun. His opponent here on the, as we said, on the Korean ladder, a Protoss player. You may know him with his top 3 control. Of course, he's taken a victory at Orlando MLG last year. It is EGHukRC. Now, of course, Huck, he's been doing quite well. He did well in NASL, from what I understand, in the most recent season. Unfortunately got knocked out, but has been doing really well. Getting a lot of practice in at the moment. Hopefully we'll get him winning some more things, going down at the next MLG. I believe he was 4th at the MLG Winter Championships just not too long ago as well. So it's not as if he's been out of the running at all. He's certainly been competing and doing really well against a lot of the great players in the scene at the moment, and hopefully, as I said, we'll see him come back again and get some more championships under the belt. Meanwhile, the Huck probe is already out in force, getting some damage done inside the mineral line of Pig, just trying to harass there. Of course, if you put one of your workers onto the into the mineral field there and sort of just stop your opponent from picking up a little bit of minerals, it can count. Sort of at this very early stage, it sort of seems like, well, that's actually nothing. Well, it can count later on. You never know when there could be just one particular sort of time at the game where a player will be like, damn, I need those 2 minerals, and that's where you would go back and say, yep, that's where I lost the game. But anyway, Huck's going to go for a Nexus first here against Pig, and Pig is going to be able to see what's going on. Of course, he sent out that drone just to see exactly what was happening here, and the drone's going to take a few swipes at that pylon. Not really going to get anything done there, of course, but Pig is also going to be able to take his expansion pretty quickly there. He did get a spawning pool up just in case Huck was going to do any kind of crazy shenanigans, but there is nothing really going on. And as we can tell here, because of the gate and then the extra pylon that was here, there's not going to be any sort of chance to even do a cannon rush or anything at the back of the natural here or something like that, because there's been so much invested in this early opening here from Huck. So he's just going to play standard, going to go into a bit of a macro game. I would not be surprised, there it is, if a drone heads straight out for Pig to make sure he can secure his own 3rd base very quickly. Now, as the Zerg players will know, you want to get up that expansion pretty quickly when you're playing against a Forge Fast Expand. You're either going to want to do some sort of bus very, very quickly, or you want to get your 3rd base up and running very quickly as well. So Pig does get his Overlord out of the way. That cannon was almost done by the time that Overlord started heading back out, but it looks as if he got it out in time, so he's going to be able to keep an eye on what's going on here for Huck. Now, if you're wondering what this Overlord is going to be here for, that's actually to spot what is going on at the 3rd and 4th gas of Huck. Now, depending on when Huck takes these 2 gas guys here, that'll be a little bit of a trigger to Pig, as to say, well, you know what, he's taking them at this particular time. That means that it's this sort of timing attack coming, this sort of type of attack coming. Of course, if you see the gases very quickly here at the 3rd, it can mean, at the natural, you can see, if you see those very quickly, as in sort of anywhere between now and the next 30 seconds or so, that can mean either some very high-tech things are coming, or some very gas-intensive things are coming, like some Void Rays might come out, although you can do that on 2 gas, or you can see DTs might be another option for the Protoss. But anyway, Pig's going to be well on his way to a high number of drones at the moment. He's up to 29. Pig is doing quite well with that, but Huck is still ahead at the moment, 32, but you can be assured that Pig is going to climb ahead in just a second. He's got 4 cooking at the moment. They're going to just jump out in just a second, and Pig is definitely going to get the lead. There he goes. So, now, with Daybreak, of course, it is a very big macro map. You obviously see a lot of macro games on this one, just because of the fact that you can take a 3rd base very easily here. You can, for a Protoss, you can either do a couple of things. You can wall off sort of in this position here, put a cannon back at that back side of the minerals there, and then sort of make the Zerg sort of funnel through this way, instead of being able to just cut through here. Or you can see just a very big, thick gateway wall across here, which will protect that one. So there's very sort of easy ways to take that. And of course, as a Zerg, all you'll need to make sure that everything is protected is a couple of spine crawlers and a spore crawler to make sure there's no fancy sort of DT issues going on. But Huk at the moment is not going to do too much pressure. He did get a stalker out, was having a quick poke at the third base here. Didn't really get too many kills. No, he didn't actually get anything done there, but he does retreat with that stalker just because speed could be coming through very soon. Of course, you want to be looking out for speed at around about the sort of anywhere between 7 and around about sort of 8:30 is the time that you want to start to get a little bit worried about whether speed was coming along. It very much depends on how fast the Zerg wants to get into their tech. Now, as we can see, Pig has taken his he's taken the 2 gas inside the main. He's also got the 3rd, and the 4th is just building now, so he's going to be able to get some of that higher tech out very soon. Now, to complement that, he's got the lair on the way. That's around about that's almost halfway done, so he's going to be able to get some roaches out very soon, depending on how much he wants to invest in that. He can go for mutas on this map. I wouldn't say it's the most sort of like it's the greatest idea to utilize some mutas here, because there isn't too much space to sort of work with behind here, especially when a Protoss gets blink. But at the moment, he's going to have to deal with a Protoss that has Phoenix. So Huk has 3 Phoenix out on the map at the moment. He's continuing to produce a few more. There's a 4th that's just coming out now. They're going to find an Overlord and take that one down quite easily. I'm not sure how much extra damage they're going to get done, but it looks as if Pig is going to try and do his own damage. Unfortunately, not really getting too much done there, because there was a small little contingent just protecting that very quick 3rd base of Huk. But Huk is doing quite well with these Phoenix, just poking around, just trying to see exactly if there are sort of any weaknesses, any sort of holes in the defenses of Pig. But Pig's got quite a lot of queens out now. I think he's got, is that 5? Yeah, he does have 5 out now at the moment. 1 for each of the hatcheries, and then 1 for an extra hatchery that has just been made in the middle here, which I think is very cute, because that puts some creep on the ramp there, which makes it easy to move around for your defense. But and then that extra 5th queen, of course, to help out with some damage. So looks like Huk is actually going to go the reverse version of what I was talking about with the wall. He's got 2 cannons here on the mineral side of a gateway / pylon wall. Now, that's very interesting to see a pylon wall against the Nexus, but he's giving that one a go. I do like that, but looks as if for the moment that Huk is just still going to poke around. He's found a floating Overlord just here. Going to be able to get rid of that one now. Of course, all these Overlord deaths that Pig is having to deal with. It's not a total loss, and it doesn't mean that he's going to be just going down in flames. But it is a little bit annoying. Just want to make sure you're staying on top of your supply, and of course it does limit your vision as well, which is one thing which, as we can see, Zerg players normally used to seeing quite a lot of the map, and now as we can see here, he does have the watchtower in the middle, but he's about to lose that, I would say. And apart from that, he's only got essentially the vision of where his creep tumors are. So he's going to need to perhaps get some more creep spread going, and that is exactly what he is doing here. A couple more of those tumors getting started up. Of course, you want to use those active ones as best as you can to spread around the map. Daybreak being an incredibly big map is one that you can get a lot of creep spread going through. You want to try and get it sort of around to the middle section here at least, before you sort of get those big attacks going. Of course, it can help out in your defense. Interesting to see that Pig has not really done too much with his main. He sort of just kept that creep free around the sides, but we'll find out if that sort of affects him later on in the game. Meanwhile, for Huk, we've got the tech coming along nicely for him. He's currently got a reasonable gateway force out at the moment. We've got +2 to weapons on those units just at the moment. His 3rd base flourishing at the moment. The worker count currently sitting at 93 for Pig at the moment, so he's certainly going to macro up as hard as he can. But it looks as if the Phoenix were caught out here. A couple of infests have just popped out. They've got a bit of energy, and they were able to lock down those Phoenix before any more damage was done. So that's the end of that harassment for Huk at the moment. It also brings an end to his vision on this side of the map, because without the Phoenix to sort of keep an eye on things, he will need to get an observer out to keep an eye on what's going on. Now, The worker count for Huk, we were in the middle of that, is up to 81. So he's on that, he's sort of at the spot where you don't really want to get too many more probes because it sort of gets a little bit inefficient. And what he's going to do instead is whack down a whole bunch of gateways. So we've got the fleet beacon and some gateways on the way. He's even taking his 4th base because both these players have spent just a very minimal time sort of putting on pressure. As we can see, there is a burrow circling down here at the 4th base, but Huk is going to put some more pressure on. He's got a warp prism inside the main base of Pig. Not too much defense here apart from a couple of drones, but that is an awesome maneuver there from Pig. He actually moved some of these drones into position and then put them on stop so that the zealots wouldn't attack them, but the drones would stay in the way. In fact, are they on hold position? No, I'm sorry, they were on hold position. And so that actually held up the zealots from getting too much damage done. That was a beautiful maneuver there from Pig. So he does clean that up without too much loss. Only 7 drones were lost in total there, and Pig's now he's now realized that there is a possibility of those sorts of warp prism attacks. Going to whack down a few more spine crawlers and a couple of spores as well to make sure he's got that detection just in case DTs come along for the ride in the next attack. So looks at the moment as if Pig is just trying to bide his time. He just wants to make sure he gets all of his tech up at the moment. He does have the greatest spy morphing now that the hive is done. There is a second spy there as well, so no doubt we're going to switch into that very dangerous Broodlord Infestor tech very soon. And Pig is just sitting on a very nice economy, so he certainly can go for that. With 8 gas, that's enough to make sure that you can utilize those high gas intensive units that come out of the hive, such as the Ultralists and of course the Infestors and the Broodlords, so he's going to be able to get that going very soon. Meanwhile for Huk, he's got a couple of Colossus out. We've also got Templar as well. Huk, a player who generally over the course of his playing has not really favoured Colossus too much, apart from when he has to. Of course, if you're dealing with Roach Hydra or a high count of Lings or something like that, he doesn't actually like to do Colossus as much as some other players will. So it's pretty good to see that he only has 2 of those at the moment, and he's just lost one of the prisms, unfortunately. But there is another counter attack up at the top. It looks like Huk is going to try and get in here with some zealots. There are a couple of spine crawlers just morphing in here. A few of those are going to go down before they finish, but it looks as if the roaches and lings are going to come by and make sure that this is well protected. Meanwhile for Huk, he's just as we said, really getting this tech going up to +3 on his weapons. He's I feel as though where is there no second forge? I feel like a second forge is really needed here, but he has finished up Storm Tech. He's about to take this 5th base down the bottom once this pesky little Zergling is detected by the cannons that are building around him. But once Huk has this, then he's going to be sitting in a very nice spot. Of course, a Protoss on 3 bases is generally something that Zergs will be a little bit worried about. A Protoss on 4 bases where you start to have a little bit of a panic attack. Protoss on 5 bases where things start to get very interesting. So Huk is going to be in a very nice position here. Got a lot of cannons here to defend. It reminds me of a bit of Brood War PvZ here when you've got that many cannons to protect the base. But just looking at what Pig's got, as we said, the hive is now done. We've got a whole bunch of Broodlords here and a whole bunch of spine crawlers just poking away like we're on Facebook, and the Infestors are now ready to rumble as well. So both these players are just sort of sat around. There isn't a huge amount going on, but Huk is trying to just make sure he's got this good base of an economy going, and with the mothership out, saving up some energy, he's going to look very good once he starts getting some attacks going. I'm assuming he's going to wait for some more upgrades. He does have +2 to air armor on the way. Wow, not every day you see +2 air armor before you see the ground armor even up to level 2. So that's a little bit weird there from Huk, but he does have a lot of gateways to utilize. We've got another warp prism. Warp prism speed is done, and the gravitic boosters is also on the way for his observers as well. Charge also just about to complete. So all the pieces of the puzzle are about to come together for Huk here. Once he gets those extra upgrades out of the forges done, which yeah, he's sort of starting to slip behind a little bit here. He's got he's got 1 on the armor, but nothing else too much. He looks as if he's trying to get some harass done. We have a little bit going on here at the 5th base. Meanwhile, there are a couple of units just poking around at the middle section of the map here. It looks like the Broodlords have now been detected. We've got to see if Huk's going to go for any particular sort of hard counters to those Broodlords, or whether he's going to just try and deal with those with a big old toilet. And now, as we can see, it looks as if a Prism is just coming into the natural of Pig. Going to warp in a few of these Zealots, and then also, are there any DTs? No, there aren't, but he's going to have to cancel some of that. The Prism almost died, but Lings and Roaches come to save the day. They do clean up most of those before any real damage is done, but down at the bottom of side, inside the main. But Pig, wow, Pig just absolutely on the ball with his reactions here. The Prism is probably not going to die. I think it should get out just in time, but it looks as if the Zealots will be able to do some damage here. The Roaches only have +2 on their Carapace upgrade, so he's not really going to be able to defend against that many Zealots. The Spine Crawlers will certainly help. Meanwhile, up the top, a hatchery did complete, but unfortunately Huk got inside and was able to take that one down very quickly. Meanwhile, Huk is all done with this economy, sitting on those 83 probes, looking very, very nice here. He's ready to go with any sort of thing that Pig throws at him. Pig is going to be throwing quite a lot at him. In fact, it's going to be quite a lot of those broodlings that are going to be thrown at him in a second, like a crazy game of darts. But there go the Zealot Harassment inside the main, going to try and get the Infestation Pit, and he is going to catch it. A couple of extra Zealots across to the side, going to get rid of some of those leftover Spine Crawlers. The Infestors are the ones who come to save the day, because there isn't actually too much else on the ground for Pig at the moment. He's got, in fact, he's basically only got a few Lings that are going to be able to come around and defend, and there is the little name tab. I totally forgot about that, my bad. But Huk, sitting on that 200 supply, is now just going to be able to do quite a lot of damage here with these Zealots. He's able to just sit around and just throw these around to try and soak up some of the damage of the Broodlords. And as you can see, there is a big group of these Broodlords all ready to go, and his Pig is going to be looking very good soon. But again, I think the upgrades are the very interesting part of this game. We've got Huk still sitting on +1 to armor, 0 on his shields, and 3 on his weapons. And for Pig at the moment, his Broodlords only have 1-1. Keep in mind, we're at 22 minutes into the game, so this is, it's been a very macro-intensive game. Nothing like a sort of crazy, heavy harassment sort of game at all. There have been no crazy blink stalkers or anything like that. It's just been prisms and just the odd sort of damage being done with Lings at the start, but nothing too heavy to deal with. So both these players, I'm a little bit perplexed at the upgrades, but either way, we're still continuing on. The Prism's still floating around. One Corruptor is here to try and defend against that Prism. Is he going to be able to catch it before it gets anything done? I am not sure, but there is a second one down at the bottom side as well. The Spore Crawler trying to deal with that. There are some spines there as well. Not a good place to warp in. I can tell you what, those Zealots that warp in and then say, I am not going in there. But it looks like Huk is starting to make his move. Colossus now just pushing through the bottom side of the map, going to clear out some of that creep. Looks as if he will be able to get quite a lot of that done, but the Broodlords are slowly just sort of floating their way around the map. Huk has now seen them. He should be very careful with how he proceeds from here. Blinks out of danger. Meanwhile, inside the main, the Hive has been taken down, so Huk is going to be in a little bit of an advantageous position at the moment, because any sort of tech recovery from Pig is going to be a little bit slow. And now it looks as if, wow, the main base is possibly going to be going down here, just because there are so many Zealots that are inside. Fungals are being used on the Zealots, which is not what Pig wants to have to do, but he does have to if he wants to defend at all. Meanwhile, Huk is just pushing through the top side now, clearing out some of that creep. Cannot push too far. There are too many Spine Crawlers, too many Broodlords, and with the Infestors there to defend as well, I don't think that Huk is going to get too far with that. But the Prism still around, trying to get some harassment in, but a bunch of Corruptors able to secure a win there by taking that down. Another Prism up at the top side of the map. I think that has been about 7 Prisms for Huk at the moment, and he does have to cancel some of that warp in, because the Corruptor was going to be able to deal with some of that. But it looks like Huk is getting prepared for his big push. Where are his upgrades though? He's got plus, wow, that was a recall out of danger there. Those Stalkers actually got pulled back by a recall. It was like we're playing Heart of the Swarm or something like that. But the +2 shields, a little bit odd to see that before you even see +2 to armor. I'm not sure what the plan is here from Huk, just trying to utilize those upgrades as best as he can. As we said, we'd love to see a second Forge, but I'm not sure if that's going to come along in time, because now Pig is getting ready. He's moving up the Spine Crawlers, of course. A great way to push through and try and secure a win against the Protoss is to move those Spine Crawlers along. You can, of course, drop them down once they're in some creep. They cannot be Vortex. Now, a key component of late game at PvZ is the fact that a Vortex is going to catch all of the units like a Pokemon, but if you have a part of your sort of, in a way, your attacking force, or even your defending force in most of the cases, is if they are Spine Crawlers, then you can actually keep them alive, because they won't get sucked into the Vortex, and that means that you've still got some damage being done, and it means that you can push against the Protoss. But there is a lot of Colossus here. Huk has got that +3 on his weapon, so they're going to be doing quite a lot of damage. A couple of Storms here to help out, but look at the spread of the Broodlords here from Pig. He's got them just spread out so beautifully. It's like a large piece of toast, and he's just got the butter spread all over it, because these Broodlords are not going to be captured by one Vortex alone. He's going to need two. In fact, he gets a couple of them. In fact, no. Huk, I don't know what's in there. I'd say it's some Corruptors, maybe. Oh, it's two Broodlords. Actually getting not too much done there, so Huk's not going to be happy with that. He lost some of the shields and the health on the mothership for essentially nothing. Meanwhile, for Pig, he's still got this mining base here. He's got a little bit left over. There is a Zealot that's just sitting there, not doing too much. He doesn't care, and it looks like, wow, the mothership is still alive, but there are now Archons and Colossus, so Huk has moved into that. It's very late game, damaging composition here. Going to catch out one of the Broodlords. They're just snuck a little bit too far ahead, and a couple of the feedbacks going down. Some Blink Stalkers cleaning up some of those Infestors as well, but the mothership is getting a little bit too close for comfort here. I'm not sure what her plan is, because there are a bunch of Corruptors there, and a Neural Parasite goes down, but the Infestor gets caught out, and there is the beautiful Vortex catching out some of those of the Corruptors. But look at these Broodlords. They're just spread all around in a horseshoe shape, and I tell you what, the luck is going Pig's way at the moment, because Huk is starting to fall a little bit in his supply, but he's starting to warp more units in. He gets some of those units taken down that were inside the Vortex, but the mothership is now in trouble. She goes down, revealing all of the Colossus and the Stalkers, but it looks like Pig has got so much here, so much presence with all of these Broodlords. Is he going to be able to finish this one off? We'll find out very soon, but Pig forcing Huk back. Only four Colossus left over. Some Templar trying to warp in now as well to help defend, but there are so many Broodlords. 21 Broodlords and 12 Infestors on the ground, throwing down the beach volleyballs with the infested Terrans inside them, and I think that Pig is going to be able to take this one, because he has started to remove some of the Protoss forces. Now, as everyone would know, the Protoss has got a lot of powerful units. Yes, they've got these Archons, and wow, look at it. What are these probes doing? Are you serious? Are you serious? These probes. Hero probes just walking through the battle. But as I was going to say, Protoss, of course, very powerful units, very strong units like these Archons, like the Colossus, but they do take a bit of time to build and quite a lot of resources. So Huk starting to struggle a little bit with that, but he does have the mothership on the way. He's rebuilding some of those Archons as well. As you can see, 3 of those just coming through, but Pig is not caring at all, pushing through with these 21 Broodlords. There's 20, I'm sorry, that's a little bit less than what I thought he had. But Pig is not even taking another base. He hasn't even gone to attempt to take one of these bases here. I would have thought that he would perhaps just go and see if he could grab one of those, but now with a whole bunch of Archons out, is Huk going to be able to do this? 1 Vortex or 2 Vortex could save the day here. Imagine capturing all of that with a Vortex. That would be absolutely brilliant to see, but I'm not sure if he's going to get a chance to do that. Firstly, the mothership needs to regen some of her energy, and secondly, he needs to actually get into position, but Pig has been doing a fantastic job keeping himself in a good position to avoid any sort of dangerous Vortex shenanigans. So, looks like Pig is just starting to move through here. Even the Infestors are coming through. They're just going to drop over some of the Infested Terrans, going to take down the Fleet Beacon. You can be assured of that. Of course, the Gateway are going to be going down as well. There was a extremely large total of gates here for Huk, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to defend this. The mothership is out. She's almost got the energy for a Vortex, only 20 away. Will she be able to get it in time? We'll find out. Looks as if the Broodlords are getting ready. Perhaps needs to spread some of those out, because that could be a little bit interesting, but there go a couple of Storms. Nice Storms there from Huk. Gets some damage on the Broodlords, but there are so many of them, and here come the Infestors. Neural Parasite, 1, 2... and there are no more, but because they are cloaked. But there go more Neural Parasites everywhere there for Pig. As we can see, they are all sorts of mind stealing going on there, and that is done. Pig wins the game. Huk going down there in a flurry of Neural Parasite and Broodlords. Unfortunately, his Archons, as we can see, getting taken over by the Neural Parasite. And what a brilliant game between those two players. A very chilled game, I suppose you could say. It was very macro orientated, but very good nonetheless. Of course, Pig sitting on a lower base count, which is interesting to see against the Protoss, and still coming out with the win. Of course, with a lot of Broodlords and a lot of Infestors, you can do something like that. So I hope you all enjoyed that one. I'll catch you all next time. Cheers.